Hi everyone, I'm Lawrence Steele. I got 4th place at the Neuss Regional 636 player with Lunalight. And yeah, let's get into it. So, for the engine, pretty basic. 3 Gold Leo, 2 Kaleido Chick, 2 Silverhound, 2 Black Sheep, Emerald Bird, Martin, Tiger, Wolf, and then 2 Perfume, 2 Masquerade, 1 Fusion, 1 Poly. Aside from like whether you max out on Masquerade or not, this is really standard at this point. Like some people will play 3 Black Sheep, which I don't hate, but yeah, it's pretty personal. I think 2 is fine. Of course, I had to do this on a mat that's still in foil. Then for the supplementary engine cards, 3 Fractal, 2 Tanky. The reason we're not playing 3 Masquerade and 3 Tanky is that in theory it's pretty bad into both Radiant Typhoon and also Fallen Virtues, which is pretty popular. I did see some lists that were still playing 3, and like there's quite a few games where like even though this seems like a really free thing to MSD, like a lot of people are. I think a lot of people would be scared that like you're trying to bait to get a heavy poly through or something, but yeah, I didn't miss it that much. I think the engine count's pretty fine. I like bricked twice over 10 rounds. Yeah, that's technically all the engine. Then 3 Fua, 3 Perulia. Used to be on 3 Fua, 2 Perulia with like the 3rd Perulia in the side, but because I wanted to try a silly little card in the side deck, I ended up putting this in the main just because it made siding a bit earlier, let me add a trust in the side. Yeah, not much to add here. Then my goat, heavy poly. Like, I will not lie. Your tournament success as a Lunalight player depends on how often do you draw this card, especially in game 1. Like I think I lost 1 game where I drew this. I think every other game where I drew this, I just won. Like we don't need to elaborate too much on it. The card's just busted. And then something that is also pretty standard at this point, Fallen the Virtuous. Like, aside from, just being a solid card in its own right, you can do Dragon Devour's Dogma, send Frackle for follow-up if you got stopped. You can do Tiger Pop to get an additional Reborn, and then Black Sheep can add Tiger back from the face-up extra deck. You can do Ecclesia and put back the level 8 Lunalight Fusion to have like an extra removal going second into a board. Like, I actually saw that some Radiant Typhoon players were like starting to like cut this card down because like just like for its straight up intended purpose, that isn't actually like as valuable as some people are making it out to be, but there's so many like additional synergies in Lunalight that you have to play this. Like, the extra deck cost feels rough at times, but it is absolutely like just non-negotiable, I think. Then 3 droplets. Dodge Flame, Dodge Mandate, get rid of Totem Birds. Like, you do have like a few continue spells that you would rather not send at activation, but like droplet just works out really well this format. And then the last 2 main deck cards, Foolish Burial, bunch of graveyard triggers. You can send, unlike with Fractal, you can send Martin, immediately get access to Lunalight Fusion going second, etc., etc. Like, it's just good. And then, last card, Pot of Prosperity. Don't be an idiot like me, Prosp for 6 when you know you're gonna die to an Ash afterwards. I know it feels really painful in this deck, because you have to cut off so many, like, options for later on. But, like, don't be stupid. Like, game 1, you will just win with, like, Double Liger. No. That was the main deck. Now, for the side deck, 2 Pank, used to be 3, but because of the surprise tool that will help us later, that is the 15 card in this side deck, I cut down to 2. I sided it in like only twice or something, because I would often just go second game 1, win that game, and then actually, no, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, either way, it just like I never drew it, and I didn't side it in that often. In theory, it's mandatory against Radiant Typhoon for outing Dimphis. It's also like it's really not too bad into Yummy boards. Like when Yummy first was announced, people were always talking about how it is like, oh, it FTKs, and which isn't true, but it is still a really solid card into their boards. Like you're never mad about seeing it. Then Triage Blossom, mainly a going first card, but into Drake also going second card. Not much to it. It Ash Blossom. Like, then Masquerade, called by Talents, 2 Trust, like just a bunch of going first spells. Third I did debate turning this into a third Tenki because, like the ways that you start your combo by Foolishing all kind of get choked out on Silverhound. So if you have like Foolish Burial plus Masquerade, you often don't actually feel like you still are pretty vulnerable to Ash, whereas like Tenki would let you add a Gold Liu and normal summon her and go from there. But still, it like this one does play significantly better to Droll, which I did see quite a bit of Droll, although like, or well rather, I saw Droll on a lot of tables next to me rather. I luckily managed to dodge it. Yeah, call by no, no explanation needed. Talents is pretty much exclusively a going first card at the moment, and together with Trust, it also lets you beat Retaliating Sea a lot more reliably because you either need like something like 2 names plus Masquerade or Trust into Talents usually to beat Retaliating Sea and still be able to make Liger afterwards. But yeah, sometimes certain rogue decks this still works going second. And then 3 Impulse into sides. A lot of people often ask me like, why aren't you maining this? Isn't Impulse crazy? Impulse is actually like as a general hand trap, Impulse is actually really ass this format. I feel like you will never meaningfully stop Dracotail with Impulse going second. That said, it is a good going first card for this deck because as you saw, there's like 12 cards you have to side out for going if you want to go first. And Impulse still is like one of the best checks at stopping Dracotail from getting to Titaniclats. And whenever post-siding your opponent does have an out for Liger, you are really happy when you're like sitting on Ash, Fallen and Virtuous, Impulse, etc., etc. Like even though it's weirdly positioned in the format overall, it's still Impulse. And then Leg with Laughs, Trust Target, call Lava Golem. It is what it is. Another one of those cards that like can help you buy a turn. You sit on this and Fallen and the Virtuous. You send Dragon that devours the Dogma. You force you stop them from killing you, and then next turn you have Fractal to continue your place. Like I spent too much fortune on this card. You know why this is good. And then the final card, which I don't have anymore, Illusion Gates. In case you don't know what it does, it says pay half your life points, destroy as many monsters your opponent controls as possible, and then you can summon a monster from your opponent's graveyard, ignoring its summoning conditions. So Biscotto suggested it to me, like when he was testing. I don't know if he's still on it because he was like in pretty early testing for it. But I really just wanted to play it for the hell of it, honestly. And I drew it twice. Once against the intended use case against Vanquish Soul, but I stopped them really early on. So like there was never a point to using it. I just would have wasted life points. But then against Yummy, I foo at them, forcing them to end on a half board where they just had like Snatchy, a few of the Yummy names, and Yummy surprise sets. And then, like, in that case, Illusion Gate straight up FTKs in a way that's, like, even right, like, you would think, like, oh, isn't it just Raigeki? But being able to actually get rid of the Synchro or the Link 1 means that, like, all their follow-up plays, like, even in the best case scenario, just do not work anymore. But yeah. Shoutouts to Dave Vecht for loaning it to me. Was a pretty CR. Yeah, that's it for the site. Then for the extra deck, for the fusions, 2 Perfume, 2 Leo Dancer, 2 Liger Dancer, shout out to girl, and 1 Panther Dancer. So this is I feel like this is the absolute minimum, and like I think you always like need like at least like 1 additional one, like either a 3rd Perfume Dancer or like Panther Dancer. the main thing with Panther Dancer is like you can make Leo. You can make the original Leo Dancer if your opponent like tries to fuck up your heavy poly by removing their own bodies. And Leo Dancer still is a house of cards. Like it is not an insta win. Like there are plenty of ways of getting rid of it for most decks, but it still has like destruction protection, targeting protection. In the mirror, it's also really important since this this card like Liger cannot actually out it because this one it's not like Lunalight immune, it's just destruction immune. But yeah, it just comes up. And another thing with Panther Dancer is it is a level 8. The synchro that you send with Fallen into Virtue as Ecclesia and the Dark Dragon does not have to put back an Albaz fusion. It can just put back any level 8 fusion monster, which Panther Dancer happens to be. Which means that when you're like playing into a board, you can send Panther Dancer early on, even if she gets banished because you're doing like a Silverhound spell negate or whatever. Ecclesia can also put back from banish. So yeah, like going second, it makes Fallen into Virtuous straight for like 2 interrupts basically. It's very nice. And then we are onto the Fallen into Virtuous targets. Albion is obvious, like, you always have to play Albion with Fallen into Virtuous. I think Fallen into Virtuous stops being a card worth considering the moment Albion's dead. But the other two, Drang the Devour's the Dogma is mainly because it searches Fractal, or if you just want to get an additional copy of Fallen into Virtuous, it also works. And Ecclesia is probably the most contentious one, until you actually play with it, and then you notice that this card saves your ass all the fucking time. Yeah, just being able to the Panther interaction I said earlier is extremely nice because it really helps you create those checkmate scenarios a lot more often and forces stuff like Dracotail Sting really quickly. Goed karton. And then yeah, the links. Crossy Pen, Little Knights. I think you can figure out why. I did see, I believe, Isle of Beer was playing 2SP, which I did like. It would come in handy against Radiant Typhoon quite a bit, because sometimes you really do just need to like if you want to start pushing you before, because if they end on Crosea and you have no spell traps, usually the strategy is like, oh, I'm just gonna wait for like 4 turns until I have enough spells to start pushing, but sometimes your draws are just bad, and in those cases, just having like a monster-heavy engine hand can also let you deal with Crosea. And also just like having a way to arbitrarily banish Kaleido Chick is really crucial. And then Dugaris, it's Dugaris. Like whenever I banish this guy with Prosp, I regret it. Like he always comes up. And like both siding, you really want to dig for Ash, you really want to dig for Impulse. Shit like that. Then Tiger King. If someone has a European ulti of this in English, please let me know. I really want to see it. But yeah, Tiger King. Against people who aren't as experienced versus Lunalight, this card is just going to win you the game on the spot a lot of the time. People often are not prepared for its second effect. Yeah, it's just good.
And also, he technically actually has 2300 attack every time.
And then the absolute GOAT. I think if this card gets banned, the deck just stops being relevant. Baguska. Yeah, it is Baguska. Like so many of my games, like the Baguska was a bigger issue than Liger. Like it's just silly. Yeah. So that's the deck profile. 41 cards in main. Obviously 15 side, 15 extra. Yeah, really, really elated with my performance because my performance in Dortmund was very, very, very lackluster, as my teammates will know. Yeah. For shoutouts, first of all, shoutouts to Biscotto. I asked him for coaching. He did a really good job. I was already familiar with the deck, but he really helped me grasp a bunch of concepts that really have been aiding me navigate a lot of situations where I just would have auto-lost in the past. So, massive thanks to you. Subscribe to his Patreon. Also, shoutouts to Johannes for getting me on the deck in the first place and for just being a really just like all-around pal in Yu-Gi-Oh! Dave for loaning me the Illusion Gate and also just being a really cool guy. And of course, my friend group, the Dark Cool Doogies, Dennis, Ryan, Raz, Hoff, Casper, you all know who you are. Thank you. And flipping TCGs for just, we hang out a bunch of events. They're super chill. You thinking, yeah, I guess that's it. So, thank you.